Commission to order on October 13th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner Paratic.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. We are also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Live Event. It is compatible with all browsers except Safari. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via the live stream, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the closed caption or CC button in the lower right corner of the screen. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comment via mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. For reference, this email is also included in the Q&A feature on the live stream event, on your computer, and in the meeting notice. We will have an opportunity for the public to make comment as provided for in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments should be limited to one per person and can be made verbally in person or by calling in or in writing via the live stream Q&A feature. If you are participating via Teams application, you can use the Q&A feature and type your comments in the box anytime during our meeting, and we will have those queued up to read. The Q&A function should also be used to submit public comments directed to the Commission. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or by calling into the meeting by phone. And to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting. Commissioner Phillips?
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of the agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2021 Commission meeting.
I move for approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2021 Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the September 24th, 2021 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of September 24th, 2021 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders and minute actions on the consent agenda, and today the Commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Blair Renfro. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Good morning. Today's consent agenda consists of 4 communications matters and 3 electric matters. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Blair. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. Back to you, Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A1 is case number U-20220, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for reconciliation of power supply cost recovery expenses and revenues for calendar year 2019. The order before you approves the application as modified by the order.
Thank you. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20220.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20220 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A2 is case number U-21094, which involves an application filed by Alpena Power Company requesting ex parte approval of an amendment to power purchase agreements. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21094.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21094 is approved. Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A3 is case number U-21121, which involves an application filed by Northern States Power Company requesting ex parte approval of revised depreciation rates. The order before you approves the application.
Thank you once again. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21121.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21121 is approved. The next item on today's agenda will be an update from staff member Lynn Beck regarding the My Power Grid status report. And I recognize Ms. Beck.
Lynn, you are muted.
Thank you. Apologize for that. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I hope you are doing well. My name is Lynn Beck. I am the Assistant to the Chief Operating Officer at the MPSC. I am excited to provide you a status update on the second year of the My Power Grid initiative and the many activities and accomplishments of both staff and stakeholders over this past year. First, I want to start with some background. My Power Grid is a focused multi-year stakeholder initiative launched in October of 2019. My Power Grid is supported by Governor Whitmer and the Commission to maximize the benefits of the transition to clean, distributed energy resources for Michigan residents and businesses. My Power Grid seeks to engage utility customers and other stakeholders to help integrate new clean energy technologies and optimize grid investments for reliable, affordable electricity service. The initiative consists of education, outreach, and regulatory reforms with stakeholder engagement to advance Michigan's clean energy future. Upon launching My Power Grid, the Commission identified several reasons why undertaking this initiative made sense, including, first, declining prices of distributed energy resources, second, a changing resource mix, third, customer preferences for clean energy, fourth, ongoing electrification of transportation and buildings, and lastly, environmental and sustainability goals are included in this key drivers list. The Commission has done a lot of work to prepare for these changes, and in the spirit of building on the existing foundation as well as tying together ongoing discrete efforts, the Commission sought to establish an overarching vision and strategic objectives to guide further discussions. As such, My Power Grid was organized into three core areas of emphasis focused on customer engagement, which is supported by Commissioner Tremaine Phillips, integrating emerging technologies, which is supported by Commissioner Catherine Paratic, and optimizing grid performance and investments, which is supported by Chair Dan Scripps. Each core area of emphasis is further broken down into distinct work areas, with work teams led and composed of Commission staff, and with each Commissioner providing input and guidance within a specific core area of emphasis. My Power Grid has unfolded in three phases. My Power Grid Phase 1 activities are those that were in progress or initiated around the time My Power Grid kicked off in October of 2019. Since the first My Power Grid status report filed in October of 2020, the Interconnection Standards and Worker Safety Work Area, which utilized a stakeholder process to recommend updates to the Commission standards for interconnecting with the electric distribution system, has received necessary approvals for the formal rulemaking process to begin. The Commission issued an order on September 9th, 2021, setting a schedule for public comment and expects to be able to finalize the rules in 2022. The Grid Security and Reliability Standards Work Group was formed upon the creation of My Power Grid, merging developing efforts launched in response to recommendations in the 2019 statewide energy assessment for staff and stakeholders to review and suggest updates to the Commission's service quality and reliability standards for electric distribution systems, excuse me, and technical standards for electric service, including an emphasis on cybersecurity. Staff issued draft rule sets in December of 2020, which provide for updated and more stringent service quality and performance standards and would increase and make automatic customer bill credits for frequent and long duration outages, and the MPSC is working to expedite the rule promulgation process for these rule sets. This is especially important in light of the reliability issues Michigan customers experienced over this past summer. The Energy Programs and Technology Pilots Work Group had robust involvement from many stakeholders as well. In September of 2020, staff submitted a report with several recommendations from their learnings, including adopting a standard definition for pilots and establishing objective criteria by which to evaluate pilots. The Commission issued an order in February 2020 adopting staff's recommendations and ordered staff to establish an online Michigan pilot directory to increase transparency and information sharing regarding the results and learnings from approved pilot utility pilot programs. Staff has worked with utilities to collect pilot-specific data for the directory and developed the directory website. The Michigan Pilot Directory went live on October 11th, 2021. Electric distribution system planning is part of Advanced Planning Phase 1. Electric distribution system investment plans are submitted by utility companies to assist the Commission, MPSC staff, and stakeholders in better understanding the utilities distribution system spending plans over a longer-term horizon than the one-year outlook afforded in utility rate cases. Since the first status report last year, Consumers Energy, DTE Electric, and Indiana Michigan Power have all submitted updated electric distribution system investment plans, which cover topics including safety and reliability, resilience, hosting capacity analysis, non-wires alternatives, benefit cost analysis, and performance-based regulation proposals, consistent with staff recommendations and Commission guidance. And last but not least, in My Power Grid Phase 1 is demand response. In response to recommendations included in the statewide energy assessment related to the performance of load modifying resources and demand response during the 2019 polar vortex extreme weather event, the Commission issued an order in case number U-20628 that directed MPSC staff to convene a work group of utilities, regional transmission organizations, demand response providers, consumer advocates, and other interested stakeholders to review and discuss potential improvements to utility demand response tariffs, customer communications, and coordination with wholesale markets in order to ensure that anticipated demand response resources will materialize when called upon. The Commission issued an order in October of 2020, which adopted several recommendations from the stakeholder process, including direction on staff collaboration with the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator on demand response issues, updated communication protocols for demand response events, updated demand response reporting requirements and templates for utilities, and tariff revisions on testing, notification, and penalties. My Power Grid Phase 2 is comprised of the following focus areas, which I will go into more detail about on the next slides. On August 20th, 2020, the Commission opened the docket in case number U-20852 and directed staff to convene a competitive bidding collaborative to update competitive procurement guidance to promote fair, transparent, and non-discriminatory utility resource procurement processes to maximize customer value. Rate-regulated utilities and other stakeholders participated in the competitive procurement work group to develop recommended competitive bidding rules or guidance that also aligns with the comprehensive planning processes being developed through the Advanced Planning Phase 2 Integration of Resource Distribution and Transmission Planning Work Group. The Competitive Procurement Work Group held a number of stakeholder meetings in 2020 and the first quarter of 2021. On June 22nd, 2021, MPSC staff filed a competitive procurement report in the U-20852 docket. The staff report provided draft competitive procurement guidelines for rate-regulated electric utilities, not for PURPA compliance, and draft competitive procurement guidelines for rate-regulated electric utilities for PURPA avoided cost and capacity determinations. After a comment period on September 9th, 2021, the Commission issued an order in case number U-20852, which reviewed stakeholder comments, made minor revisions to staff's proposed guidance, and adopted the guidance documents as amended. Further, the Commission directed staff to survey utilities, developers, and stakeholders within 5 years or sooner if needed in order to assess how the guidance is working and whether updates may be necessary. On August 20th, 2020, the Commission issued an order in case number U-20633 that initiated Phase 2 of the My Power Grid Advanced Planning Work Area, which focused on integration of resource distribution and transmission planning. In that order, the Commission highlighted several recommendations from the statewide energy assessment and provided guidance for staff to begin outreach by holding a series of stakeholder sessions focusing on the objectives listed on this slide. In addition to work done by staff to ensure that utilities filing integrated resource plans are including information demonstrating progress toward meeting climate goals established by Governor Whitmer in establishing the My Healthy Climate Plan, staff issued its final integration of resource distribution and transmission planning report on May 27, 2021, after receiving and reviewing extensive stakeholder feedback. In its report, staff made several recommendations to shape future planning efforts focused on the areas of resilience, forecasting, transmission planning, value of generation diversity, emissions recommendations and environmental justice considerations, and alignment of distribution, resource, and transmission planning. On September 24, 2021, the Commission adopted an order in case number U-20633, which directs the staff to create a redline version updating the Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters that reflects the recommendations proposed by the staff in the May 27th report, feedback from stakeholders, and the directives for building a carbon neutral Michigan pursuant to Executive Directive 2020-10 by December 22, 2021, and to engage stakeholders in Phase 3 of advanced planning activities geared towards finalizing updates to the Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters and IRP filing requirements in 2022. Additionally, staff has worked with Guidehouse over the past year to develop the recently released energy waste reduction and demand response potential studies consistent with requirements in the state law related to IRP planning parameters. The potential studies identify technical, economic, and achievable levels of energy waste reduction and demand response that can be undertaken by MPSC regulated utilities and will be used to inform revisions to the Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters during Phase 3. The New Technologies and Business Models Work Group was launched in October of 2020 as part of My Power Grid Phase 2. The Commission directed staff to focus on several technologies, including microgrids, electric vehicles, energy storage, distributed energy generation, such as community and behind-the-meter solar, combined heat and power, and heat pumps for space and water heating. A total of 10 stakeholder meetings were held in early to mid-2021. During these meetings, the opportunities, forecasts, barriers, and potential solutions were discussed for each of the topic areas. Staff's draft report summarizing the work group activities and learnings was distributed on September 15, 2021 to stakeholders for comment. Staff recommendations related to cost-benefit analysis, data-driven decision-making, establishing an expedited pilot approval process, and developing technology and fuel-agnostic incentives, among other things. Stakeholder comments on the staff report were accepted through October 4th, and the final staff report will be submitted by December 1st, 2021, with subsequent Commission action anticipated. The Innovative Rate Offerings Distributed Energy Resources Rate Design Work Group was launched in February of 2021. The focus of the DER Rate Design Work Group is to determine how customer-owned generation and energy storage are changing the way energy customers use the grid, explore cost allocation and possible customer charges, and propose rate design options. This work area was aided by guidance from the Michigan Senate in the form of Senate Resolution 142 of 2020, which required a study on rate design and options to be undertaken. The Commission enlisted the assistance of the Regulatory Assistance Project, also known as RAP, to facilitate the exploration of rate design options for evolving energy technologies, with opportunities for feedback from stakeholders and to support delivery of the study. A draft outline for the study was presented to stakeholders for comment on March 9, 2021. Those comments were incorporated into a final outline. RAP, with the assistance of staff, developed a report in accordance with the Senate Resolution 142 of 2020. The draft study was released to stakeholders on September 1st, 2021. The study provides an overview of traditional rate-making processes and principles, options to consider relative to cost allocation and rate design, as well as credit design options for customer outflow on utility systems. Finally, it offers 3 potential pathways for new rate designs for distributed energy resources, combining elements from options previously discussed in the study in order to illustrate the trade-offs inherent in any rate-making activity. After the comments are submitted on the draft report, RAP will be considering the feedback and finalize the study, which will be delivered to the legislature on November 1st, 2021. Customer engagement and participation is critical to making sure that transition to cleaner and more distributed energy future is beneficial to ratepayers while ensuring the reliability of the energy system. It is also becoming increasingly important to recognize and address the barriers energy customers, particularly those from vulnerable and marginalized communities, encounter when attempting to participate in Commission-related activities. Because Michigan's energy system is changing and all energy customers, including residential, commercial, and industrial customers, will be vital in supporting the transition to a cleaner and more distributed energy future, the Commission approved an order in case number U-20959, establishing the Customer Education and Participation Work Group. Stakeholder sessions of the Customer Education and Participation Work Group were held in the spring and summer of 2021, with the first two focusing on customer data access and privacy topics and the remaining sessions focusing on customer education and participation, with a broad array of stakeholder participation, including utilities, customer advocates, municipalities, academia, and community representatives, among others. MPSC staff will file a report in the docket for case number U-20959, summarizing the efforts of the work group, providing recommendations for the Commission's consideration, and identifying possible next steps. The work done today on My Power Grid will serve to facilitate the integration of additional distributed and clean energy resources into Michigan's energy system and help to bolster the reliability and resilience of our electric grid. However, we aren't finished yet. Of the 15 work areas identified when My Power Grid was launched in 2019, 5 areas of focus remain. The first work area is distribution system data access. The Commission ordered DTE Electric and Consumers Energy to submit go, no-go maps as a first step toward hosting capacity studies in their 2021 distribution plans. In addition, Michigan Senate Resolution 143 of 2020 encourages the Commission to undertake a study on reliability, interconnection, and related grid integration issues for distributed energy. The MPSC will be working on these directives in the next phase of My Power Grid. The advanced planning work area has encompassed each phase of My Power Grid and is set to continue with phase 3, focusing on integrated resource planning. The advanced planning work group will focus on updating the Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters and IRP filing requirements during 2022. The Commission studied utility financial incentives and disincentives as part of its 2018 performance-based rate-making report and has adopted a variety of specific incentive mechanisms consistent with statutory authorization. In this next phase of My Power Grid, staff will be reviewing the Consumers Energy and DTE distribution plans, which included proposed performance-based rate-making metrics and incentive structures. The Commission will work to ensure utility spending is optimized for the benefit of customer service, system reliability, and safety. And finally, innovative rate offerings will continue to focus on 2 additional areas: time-based pricing and voluntary green pricing. Consumers Energy implemented summer peak time of use rates for all customers in June of 2021. Understanding learnings from Consumers Energy's experience can assist the Commission and stakeholders as additional utilities work towards establishing similar programs. Additionally, all rate-regulated utilities have implemented programs which allow customers to choose to have some or all of their energy generated from renewable energy resources. This is called voluntary green pricing. The Commission and staff will continue to monitor these program offerings. The My Power Grid initiative has been an immense undertaking for both staff and stakeholders, and staff would like to thank stakeholders especially for their dedication to this process. As noted in the report, much of the value of My Power Grid comes from the opportunities afforded through interaction between various participants. Since My Power Grid was launched in October of 2019, more than 350 stakeholder organizations have participated in 57 stakeholder meetings convened by 10 different work groups, with deliverables including reports with recommendations, draft updated rule sets, updated Commission guidance, among other work products. Going forward, evaluating how the remaining My Power Grid work streams complement one another, as well as the foundational My Power Grid work that is already underway, and how best to prioritize these efforts relative to other important work at the Commission should be a goal over the next year. Much remains to be done, and the Commission has ordered staff to file a final My Power Grid status report during the 3rd quarter of 2022. Thank you again for the opportunity to present on the status of the My Power Grid initiative. I want to close by thanking the Commission for your leadership and vision in taking on these essential issues. Michigan's residents and businesses will benefit from a cleaner, more reliable, and resilient energy system as a result.
Thank you, Ms. Beck, for that presentation and the comprehensive overview of the work over the last couple of years. I would imagine that all 3 of us want to say a few words. And I guess because I'm speaking now, I'll start. This is an incredibly exciting time in the energy space, and the the changes that we're seeing take place, driven by customer preferences, technological advancement, price declines, data, it really at times feels like the ground is shifting beneath our feet, and I think there's a responsibility for us as state energy and telecommunications regulators to make sure that our regulatory framework is keeping up with the changes taking place in the private sector, and really, as we said, maximizing the benefits of this transition for Michigan residents and businesses. When we started this process, Paul Proudfoot, who is the head of our Energy Resources Division, made a comparison to the bus and who's driving the bus of all this change. And I don't think it's the commission. I think we're responding to changes that are being driven in large part by customers, technology, and economics. But to stretch the analogy still further, it's also important that we're not run over by the bus and that Michigan's not run over by the bus. And I think that really has been the focus and the lens through which we've looked at a lot of the work that has taken place over the last 2 years, the work ahead of us in the next year, and then, as you said, beyond. And what's, I think, exciting is that the bus may actually be a Ford F-150 Lightning pickup truck in terms of vehicle to home and the changing nature of how customers interact with a grid that for the first 100 years of the power sector was really one-directional and increasingly is bidirectional and networked. So that's really exciting. Ms. Beck mentioned the hundreds of stakeholders, 350 different organizations with multiple, 10, I think, stakeholder forums and the reports and the meetings that have taken place. And I absolutely echo that. From the utilities to NGOs to customer groups, we are better for the participation and the expertise that has been brought to the Commission, really from all corners of the energy discussion. But I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank, and this is dangerous because there have been so many staff people who have been involved in this effort, but the staff who have really led in many ways. So Julie Baldwin, Nick Evans, Cheryl Kirkland, Taylor Becker, Brian Sheldon, Pat Poley, Joy Wong, Naomi Simpson, Al Freeman, Sarah Malkoff, Zach Heidemann, Roger Doherty, Pat Hudson, Kayla Gibbs, Lauren Fromm, Eric Hanser, Jesse Harlow, Ann Armstrong, Nick Revere, Kevin Krause, Ann Sterling, Elena Braunschweig, as well as our Commission advisors and attorneys who have been active, and particularly Ms. Beck, you and Mike Byrne, our Chief Operating Officer, and Kathy Cole, the Head of Strategic Operations, for really helping with the facilitation, keeping the whole thing organized and trains running, just to use another transportation analogy. And to my colleagues, Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Paratic, and certainly former Chair Tallberg, who have really led and helped to lend their passion and expertise and backgrounds to this effort as well. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that we're better prepared for the efforts that we've gone through. And in many ways, with the focus on action, not just studying this, not just creating reports, but how do we implement the recommendations? How do we continue to evolve the regulatory framework here in Michigan? We're creating a model that I hope is both good for Michigan and replicable elsewhere. Mr. Phillips?
I wanted to see how much further you would go with those analogies. No, I will be very short. Just I do want to again thank Ms. Beck, Ms. Cole, as well as Mr. Byrne for continuing to be air traffic controllers and to ensure the progress of the initiative despite transitions in the Commission and all of the challenges related to the pandemic. Similar to the comments I made during our most recent update in regards to the statewide energy assessment, I think what we're doing here and the ethos that this Commission has continued to project is one of being proactive as opposed to reactive. Certainly what we've seen in terms of the learnings and the recommendations and the Commission orders related to some of the work of the My Power Grid initiative, we continue to be ahead and continue to be responsive to the many changes that are happening in regards to new technologies and economic developments across our country as it relates to the energy transition. So again, I would like to thank all of the staff, the stakeholders that have participated over the last 2 years. I think it would be hard-pressed to find any initiative or stakeholder effort in state government that is as expansive as what we have engaged here in regards to the My Power Grid initiative, and that's something that should certainly be celebrated. And again, I hope that ethos of being proactive as opposed to reactive is what we're doing in regards to looking at the impacts of climate change and some of our recent orders and efforts around reliability and resilience as well. So thank you once again for the presentation and for staff for their continued efforts.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. This all started well before I joined the commission, and I've been even more impressed seeing these efforts from the inside now. The presentation that Ms. Beck gave really only scratches the surface, believe it or not. So just a sincere thank you to all of the many commission staff members who participated in the My Power Grid work that was detailed in the presentation. And as you saw, there's been a huge amount of progress and accomplishments, and My Power Grid has resulted in real outputs from the contributions of many stakeholders and staff, and not just reports that will sit in an inbox somewhere. I've been really impressed with the quality of work done, and genuinely look forward to the results of the remaining work that is yet to come.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioners. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the Commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First, individuals attending in person. Next, written comments from individuals using the Microsoft Teams live stream Q&A, then verbal comments from individuals submitting names in the Q&A feature and who have called into the meeting, and finally from individuals participating only through the phone option. If anyone attending today's meeting in person desires to address the Commission, please come to the microphone. We don't have a large crowd here today. We'll now turn to public comments through the remote options. Again, if you would like to make a comment or have access to the Teams live stream Q&A feature on your computer, please enter your name and your comment, which will then be read aloud. This feature is available on the right-hand side of the control bar next to the mute button. As a reminder, the Q&A feature is intended for public comments directed to the Commission and not to engage with other participants or respond to their comments. After taking any comments through this feature, we'll open up the phone line for those who called into the meeting and would like to address the Commission verbally. If you want to be queued up for verbal comments, please enter your name in the live stream Q&A feature and indicate that you wish to make a verbal comment. But please do not include your written comment, as this will avoid duplication. I will first call on these names in the order received, and after hearing from those individuals listed in the Q&A, we will ask if there are any comments from individuals who are on the phone line but not utilizing the online Q&A feature. Please note that you can only make verbal comments by calling into the meeting. When it is your turn to speak, press *6 on your phone to unmute. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you are willing to share, so we have that for our records. And please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes. Ms. Cole, I believe you're again ably helping us with this part of the public comment period. Do you have any comments that have been entered into the Q&A function?
Chair Scripps, there are no comments at this time.
Are there any names in the Q&A feature wanting to make verbal comment?
There are also no names submitted to the Q&A feature today.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Is there anybody on the phone who wishes to make a verbal comment at this point? And again, as a reminder, *6 to unmute your phone. I'll ask again, if there's anybody on the phone who would like to make public comment, we'd love to hear from you. Just press *6. Go ahead. We'll try it one more time. If there's anybody on the phone who wants to make a comment at this time, you may do so. Just press *6. Okay. Well, we'll close the public comment period then. Before we adjourn, any announcements from?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to note that the Commission is hosting a 2-day technical conference on emergency preparedness, distribution reliability, and storm response virtually on October 22nd and also on November 5th, as ordered during the August 25th Commission meeting in Order U-21122. We expect this 2-part conference to update and inform the Commissioners, Commission staff, and any interested stakeholders on the current state of emergency preparedness, distribution reliability, and storm response, discuss the scale and degree of the improvements required, and explore ideas for how to achieve these improvements, all while maintaining a focus on environmental justice, equity, and cost. We reviewed the public input into the docket for topics and solutions for discussion at this conference, and will post an official agenda based on this input shortly. Day one of the virtual technical conference will be held on October 22nd, as I said, and will begin with presentations from commission staff and national experts to ground us in the data. Then we'll hear from utility representatives on their current status and existing plans. The final topic for day one will be on the customer and community impact, and we'll hear how the current system works for our communities. Representatives from the Citizens Utility Board, Michigan State Police, and leaders of 2 hard-hit communities, including Farmington Hills and Plainfield Township, will discuss on a panel how electric reliability affects their residents. Day 2, on November 5th, will focus on identifying the gaps in electric reliability, storm response, and emergency preparedness, and then discuss solutions for addressing these gaps. National experts, researchers from universities, local advocate organizations, and neighboring commissions will all be present to speak to these topics. We expect there to be good presentation, ideas, and discussion, and we encourage anyone interested to join us virtually.
Great, thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Just one short note. As Ms. Beck mentioned, the My Power Grid Energy Programs and Technology Pilots Work Group on October 11th released the Michigan Pilots Directory. I first just wanted to thank Dr. Joy Wong, as well as Charlie Tidwell and others from our IT team to help bring this resource to life. We have not done extensive research on this, but as far as we know, the commission here, this is the first such directory of utility pilots by a Public Utilities Commission to be released to the public. And certainly we want this to be a resource that is developed over time and improved upon, and have this be a resource not only to our staff and stakeholders, but to the general public at large. So I do encourage folks to utilize that resource, as well as provide feedback on how we can improve upon that resource. Lastly, since I will note that our next commission meeting is on November 4th, I want to ensure that everyone has a happy Halloween and go green.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. I heard some go whites in the audience, but not from the others up here.
Silence, yeah.
My only announcement is just a reminder that starting October 24th, so in a little less than 2 weeks, folks living in the 616, 810, 989, and 906 area codes will need to begin 10-digit dialing, so dialing the area code plus the phone number to make calls. This is in anticipation of the rollout of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline next July, where folks can start dialing 988 and be directly connected to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So in advance of that, because 988 is a prefix for phone numbers in the 616, 810, 989, and 906 area codes, the switch to 10-digit dialing will take place on October 24th. And I'd also note that even in advance of the 988 line going live next year for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, those who are seeking help, who are struggling and need someone to talk to, there is actually a line that's available today. It's 800-273-TALK or 800-273-8255. And you know, there's probably not a person here who hasn't been touched directly by suicide. And so for anybody who's watching this commission meeting who needs somebody to talk to, again, it's 800-273-TALK, and that goes today, and then next year it will be 988, and that'll be a direct line to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. But starting October 24th, 10-digit dialing if you're in the 616, 810, 989, or 906 area codes. Any other announcements?
None here.
All right. Well, our next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 4th, 2021 at 1:00 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Phillips?
I move to adjourn today's commission meeting.
I second the motion.
We will now have a roll call vote on the motion, or not a roll call vote, a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.